All right, good evening, everyone. I'll call the meeting back to order. Meeting of the Carver Select Board for Tuesday, February 3rd, 2026. If we could all stand, the Select Board meetings are broadcast live and are also recorded by Area 58 Community Access Media Channel 9 and will be posted by Area 58 on YouTube as soon as possible. There are openings on several committees. Please refer to the front page on our website for a listing and application. Now, if we could all stand.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Mr. Ryan, if you could read our community prayer.
Almighty God, humbly we pray your blessing as we concern our life with the opportunity to serve our community. Enhance us with your spirit of dignity and selflessness. May we become instruments of support and understanding as we seek to bring an environment of trust and purpose among all who provide the many services that make us all that we can become. Help us achieve the goals of our commitment in this office that is now our responsibility, and especially we lift up prayers for all the citizens of our community that we have been allowed to serve, that they may discover the fullness and joy of life that we all seek, and keep those serving in our armed forces and our first responders in our hearts and thoughts. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Mr. Ryan. All right, the first item on our agenda this evening, as always, is citizens' participation. Are there any members of the public who would like to address the board? All right, seeing none, it appears that we have a pretty big crowd here interested in our 620 agenda item. So without objection from the board, I think I would skip over our 610 item for now and go right to that 620 item, which is a discussion and possible vote for the hiring of Carver's next fire chief, Deputy Fire Chief Eric Germain. At our last meeting, we discussed this, and we agreed that we would all take some time if we wished and go meet with Mr. Germain. I can tell you that I met with the deputy chief and had a great discussion, and you know, I hate to see Chief Weston go, but if he's going to go, I can't think personally of anyone better suited to lead the Carver Fire Department forward than Deputy Chief Germain. So those are my thoughts, and I'll open it up to the board for discussion. Whoever would like to go. Mr. Ryan?
Yeah, so I took the opportunity to meet with Deputy Chief Germain on Saturday. And I think what I found is, I mean, with over 20 plus years of experience helping to maintain and build on the exceptional service that our fire department now provides, you know, Deputy Chief Germain was a big part of helping over the years too. And we have one of the chief, Harriman Dana here, who originally built or started the concept that we have here. And I know Chief Weston carried the ball and kept it going forward, and I thank him for all those years of, you know, adding and making it much better. And then I know Deputy Chief Germain was also part of that, helping to build what we have today. So I think Deputy Chief Germain would be an excellent choice because of the unique skills that are needed, you know, and understanding how our department works and taking the next ball generation going forward. And so I would, you know, support that.
All right, Ms. Ewens.
Yes, I move that we appoint Eric Germain as our next fire chief.
Second.
I think, Mr. Cannon, through you, would a more appropriate motion be to enter into contract discussions?
I move that we enter into contract negotiations to hire Eric Germain as our next fire chief.
I'll second that.
We have a motion and a second. Is there further discussion? Mr.
Thank you. I also took time to speak with Deputy Chief Germain and Chief Weston to discuss this. The biggest thing that I was impressed with is the succession plan that Chief Weston had in place for this day. Obviously, we hoped this day would be a few more years down. We're still trying to work on that, but it didn't happen. But seriously, the succession plan makes it a lot easier because, as we all know, the Carver Fire Department is unique call department. If we had looked outside, not many people can handle a call department. And that was some of the issues that that both Chief and Deputy Chief we talked about. So I think that personally that Deputy Chief Germain is a perfect choice for this. But again, I want to thank both of you for taking the time and talking to us on that. Just kind of reiterated the point, but again, you should be commended for the succession plan. Like we talked about before, you get some big shoes, you've got 2 in front, you know. So so we figure you're at least 20 years, so. The bar has been set. But seriously, thanks, but I'm 100% behind that.
All right. Mr. Carter?
Sure. I can go back to my 12 years on the Finance Committee working with the chief and the deputy chief, and I always view you guys as a team. And really, if you couldn't get an answer out of one, you get it out of the other one. So you guys kind of worked hand in hand, which I think is great. And as Jim said, the succession planning, we've asked for it, we've got it, and why change it? And the biggest thing is if something isn't broken, why fix it? I think that this department's built for the next 10 years, hopefully 20. So I highly recommend, deputy for this position.
All right. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? It is unanimous. Congratulations.
Can I approach the bench? Can I say a few words? Or?
Sure.
I was just going to have the floor. Yeah, at the microphone. Deputy Chief, Deborah.
Yes, sir.
Right there.
There's a mic at the table, too.
Right there. So everyone at home can hear you, everyone can hear you.
I don't want to,
Okay.
rude, I don't want to put my back to anyone.
All right,
Yeah, no, that's fine.
that's fine.
Oh my God, is it hot in here? So thank you to the board. Thank you for your support and the opportunity to sit with you folks in the last couple of weeks. Really appreciated that, and I think we'll have a strong relationship moving forward. I know we talked a lot about communications, and you have my word that our department will continue to communicate as we have in the past with the board through the town administrator, and so that won't change. I promise you that. I can't thank you so much, everyone, for coming tonight. I didn't expect this. I really expected the chief and his wife and Amy and myself to be here. So this is kind of overwhelming, and I really appreciate that. I worked for 2 chiefs in my lifetime. Chief Dana Harriman, who he taught me a lot about what it is to be a firefighter, about what it takes to be a firefighter, the parameters. I loved his management style. I felt like I thrived under your management, and I owe you a debt of gratitude, the foundation you started for me, and everything you gave me to get me started. I've worked for the last 20, and for Chief Harriman, I started as a firefighter, and then I became a lieutenant and a captain. And then in 2005, Chief Harriman retired and Chief Weston became chief. He hired me in '06 in January, and 20 years ago we started a relationship, I would say. I've never worked for such a great person in all my life. I never got out of bed in the morning and thought, oh my God, I got to go to work today, this sucks, or, sorry. Never didn't want to go to work. He's the greatest person in the world to work for, and my very best friend. And so this, for me, I know I've talked to you all, this was not something that, this would be a whole lot easier if he wasn't the person that he is, and he didn't do what he did for me all these years, and mentor me, all that you've given to me in this department and our community, the things that no one knows about. That would be me with the phone. That's usually me. So thank you. That's usually me. Everything you've given
can never be repaid. And I hope you know how much I really appreciate what you've done for us, for all of us. Our goal as a group, I'm not you, and I could never be you. No one could ever be you. And as a group, we will move forward. And I know that you need your time away and whatever that is, but I'll make sure that we got a lot of things that you can help with. I know I'm forgetting a lot of things, but my mom's here tonight. I love you, Mom. Thanks for being here. Cheryl, everything you've done for all of us. You know, Cheryl behind the scenes does so much for our department that nobody knows about. And so thank you for all that over the years. And then obviously my wife, who everybody in this room knows how much your family gives. It's just part of it. My family, my immediate family, my mom and my dad, I can remember coming down the stairs at 3 o'clock in the morning off the second floor of their home, waking them all up to go to a call, and they're going to work the next morning, and they're like, oh my God, you woke me up, we couldn't get back to sleep. And you know, back then we had fires, so it was fairly common. So the disruption to those folks back in the day, my family, and then Amy's been living with it for the last however many, more than 20 years, but 25 years, thank you. And so I know what you've given over the years, honey, and I really appreciate that. I don't know what more to say. I know at some point when his retirement date is set and we do this, we'll have a big thing, and then I'll be able to hopefully say a lot more. But I just wanted everybody to know that I appreciate you being here. I really do. And together we're going to do this. This isn't an I thing. This is a we thing. Again, I wish the day had never come when you said you were going to retire, but I know that I know that's what you deserve, and so I love you. Thank you, everybody.
Okay. Moving right along. Next is an item, back to our 610 item.
Take a quick break over there.
Yeah, why don't we? No worries.
I know, I think they needed a break. We didn't want to do a picture.
Well, just congratulations. Hang on a minute to it.
Thank you, guys. Thank you.
Congratulations. What's the else? Come on down. Thank you, President. It happens a lot. Thank you. Don't forget the else is open. Okay. So now we're all
Congratulations to you.
and we can have these guys. All set, right?
All right. Moving right along. Next is a statement from Senator Dooner regarding a manufactured housing bill that she proposed. And I'll read the statement, and then we can have a comment. Dear Chair Mark Townsend and members of the Carver Select Board, I'm writing to share an update on my legislation addressing rising insurance costs for residents of manufactured housing communities, an issue that continues to affect many families in Carver and across the Commonwealth. I am pleased to report that S 2919, an act addressing rising insurance costs for manufactured home residents, has been reportedly favored out of committee and marking an important step forward in the legislative process. I want to sincerely thank manufactured and mobile housing residents who have advocated on this issue and shared their personal experiences. Their voices have been instrumental in advancing this legislation. I am also grateful to local elected officials and my colleagues in the legislature for their leadership and collaboration in advocating for and moving this bill forward. The progress is a strong example of what can be accomplished when local and state officials work together toward a common goal on behalf of the residents we serve. The legislation establishes a special commission to examine rising insurance premiums, limited coverage options, the impact of state regulations, and the adequacy of existing consumer protections, including the FAIR Plan. This commission will be composed of legislators and state agency officials. In addition, our office worked directly with the committee on updated language that adds a representative of the Manufactured Housing Federation and a resident of a manufactured housing community to the commission. Thank you again to the residents and local leaders who have helped elevate this issue. I look forward to continuing our work together and will keep you informed as the bill progresses. Sincerely, Senator Kelly Dooner. And I guess I would just add to that I had an opportunity to testify in front of the board on this bill and included a suggestion to include the FAIR Plan, which they seem to have taken to heart. So sometimes they listen, I guess. Is there any comment on this before we move forward? No?
I guess we can say, it's important to many of our residents, because I've heard, our citizens, being frustrated over the cost of the insurance, and they don't have many choices. I mean, a lot of times they can only go to one place, and I've heard the costs are outrageous. So this will be good if we can come up with some options for
They're
the
down to two
citizens.
companies. There are only two companies
right.
that are writing this coverage right now.
And what I've kind of heard is because of other, parts of the nation where there's been, devastation with like storms and things like that, it's driven the cost really high, and so they're kind of absorbing the cost too, and it may be a little bit unfair. So I think this is a good thing for our citizens.
Okay. Moving right along. Our next item is a list of town meeting warrant articles to review by the select board. But before we go there, I do see some people out in the audience. Is there anyone here to speak on the 650 item, the Keno license? Why don't we, if with permission of the board, let's move to that. That way these folks can go home. Okay. So we'll move to the 650 item, a discussion and possible vote to accept or reject the Keno license and application for BPO Elks Plymouth Lodge number 1476, located at 169 South Meadow Road. You folks could just come up and introduce yourself for the folks at home.
Hi, I'm David Brisboy. I'm the exalted ruler of Plymouth 1476, Order of Elks.
Welcome.
And I'm Paul Roginski. I'm the club manager for the Plymouth Lodge of Elks number 1476.
Okay. So it looks like you applied for a Keno license, so they've sent along. Mr. Cannon, do you have any comment on this?
I really don't. I do know the board has a 21-day veto of this, according to the letter opposing it. But I see no reason for that. It's fairly, to me, fairly benign.
Yeah. Nor do I.
It's appropriate in an Elks.
No, I agree. Is there any questions from the board?
I'm just curious, do we know ballpark how many Keno operations we have in Carver?
I do not have
Fair to say a lot?
Are we limited? Are we limited on the amount that we can have where we are with liquor licenses? Okay.
I was just curious.
Yeah, I'm going to say not a lot, just because not a lot of commercial establishments in town. You usually associate with bar rooms, restaurants.
Mr. Corbo, I hate to hit you with a question out of left field here, but do you know if there's a limit on the town as to how many Keno licenses you can have?
I'm not aware of any.
Okay. All right, thank you.
Just had a quick question.
Yeah.
So it's the Plymouth Lodge, I've been asked this, Plymouth Lodge, but it's located in Carver, correct?
Right on the line.
Okay.
At the airport. It's right at the airport, yeah.
A couple of
We
people.
gladly take Carver residents.
But physically in the town of Carver.
Yeah.
Physically in, but
Yeah.
it's, okay. That's what someone asked me, the Plymouth Lodge is coming to a
Carver.
Carver, so
Right.
people, I said, well, look at the
We've been
address.
around for over 100 years in Plymouth.
In Plymouth.
Yeah, so.
But you're in Carver.
That's
But
right.
now we're gonna be in Carver.
But the land is owned by Plymouth.
Yeah. Really?
Yeah.
Did you have a license in Plymouth?
Yes, 10 years ago. We closed down, well, sold our building 10 years ago, so we've been searching since.
Okay.
Thank you.
I'll
Any
make
other
a-
questions? If not, is there a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve the license, the Keno license.
Second.
We've motioned, and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Unanimous. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Good luck.
Good luck.
Appreciate it.
Ladies,
Hope
thank you.
to see you down there sometime. You will.
All right. So now we can go back to our 640 item, the list of town meeting warrant articles by the select board.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes?
I was in the hallway, did I miss the public input section?
You did. You did, but would you like to?
I can come back if you want to stick to your agenda.
No, there were quite a number of people here, and it's possible that when I called for public comment, you couldn't have heard me because there were quite a few people here. So why don't we, if the board has no objection, we'll hear this gentleman's comment.
All right.
Yeah, sure. No, I'm glad you spoke up.
This will take 3 minutes. My name is James DuPont, former selectman, school committee member, town of Rainham. And I've got a prepared statement, I'll give you a copy later on. And this directly relates to your duties and roles as selectman and the finances of your town.
Okay.
I'm
Mr.
sorry, could you
DuPont,
speak up, please?
Yeah,
and Mr. DuPont, I would just ask you to keep your statement for 3 minutes.
it will be exactly that, Mr. Chairman, thank you. Good
I'm
evening,
sorry.
select board
It-
members.
I beg
come-
your pardon. I need you to repeat what you said, please.
I don't think she could hear your introduction, Mr.
Oh,
DuPont.
all right.
If you could just
My
do
name's
that
James DuPont, 118 Elm Street East for the minutes, Rainham, Massachusetts. Good evening, Select Board members. I come tonight to deliver a message regarding a matter of grave and immediate importance to the town of Carver, its elected officials, and its residents. This issue is twofold. First, it concerns the decades-long underfunding by the Massachusetts State Legislature of the various categories of so-called local aid, which, as all of you know, is a significant factor in setting the rate of the local property tax and hence how much the property owners are asked by you to pay. In a recently published news article, remarks by Taunton Mayor Shauna O'Connell expressed her concern for the stagnation of returning state revenue to the cities and towns. Prior to FY81, the first year in which Proposition 2.5 was in effect, the cities and towns simply put another nickel on the local tax rate to make up any shortfall in local aid and went on with things. After Prop 2.5 took effect, the cities and towns were limited in how much they could raise the prior year's levy. Consequently, many local services were pared back due to annual recurring shortfalls, but life at the local level and business went on. This brings me to my second point. Where does so-called state revenue come from? The answer is it comes from every resident and every business in every city and town, including Carver. Why isn't that money being returned to the people like you who need it for day-to-day things like police, fire, seniors, schools? It's been my experience that our state legislators have not made the full funding of local aid a priority. Members of the majority party bemoan how tough things are this year on Beacon Hill. We're hearing it again this year. While the minority party elected representatives shrug their shoulders and say, there isn't much I can do about it. Last year, my town's annual budget process resulted in a failure to pay the regional school district's annual assessment. I served on the Bridgewater Rainham School Committee 18 years. After a failed Prop 2.5 override, a large layoff of school employees then followed. A resident I discussed this with said, it sounds like bad management to me. When I responded that it wasn't bad management, but rather a shortfall caused by our state legislators not fully funding aid to education, the biggest category of local aid. His response, it sounds like our local government mismanaged their relationships with our state legislators. Mr. Chairman, this leads me to the conclusion that the time has come for all local elected officials to demand that their respective state legislators change the way local aid is calculated from a current, here's what's left, to a here's what a fixed percentage of how much your city or town produced in terms of state tax revenue. Seems eminently fair that if a city or a town provides the services, they chose to reside or do business in this town because of the decisions you and selectmen in the town has made, that lead a resident or a business to locate in a certain city or town, then a fixed portion of state taxes paid by them should go back to their city or town. As long as our state reps and state senators can get lauded for giving us half a loaf, then the residents and businesses will be told to make up the difference, and you You will have to bear the brunt of the public's ire when taxes go up, which is, I'm sure you have frequently heard, and services go down. We need to change the way local aid is calculated as well as distributed and make it a fixed percentage of the state revenue that came from each city and town. If the state has a shortfall, let them raise taxes, do massive layoffs to accommodate that shortfall in state revenue. I'll thank you for your time, Mr. Chairman, your fellow board members, and I'll leave a copy of this with the secretary here. Thanks very much for your time.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Okay, back to our 640 item, which is a list of town meeting warrant articles to review by the select board. The first item is a regular annual town report. Mr. Cannon, anything to say on that particular one?
No, not really. This is a standard article.
Yep.
I do want to say, Mr. Chairman, just, we do have the schedule, and we did put it in your packet, just so you're aware. Today is the very first look at our list of articles here. We'll have opportunities to be reviewing these. I see a drop dead date of March 17th. That gives us, 3 more scheduled select board meetings, and then any meetings we need in between there to work out any of these articles.
Right, and we do have, we're planning on our meeting on February 24th to pretty much be ready for this, right?
Correct.
And to start this process.
Correct.
And again, we did earlier in the year set some guidelines that everything is going to be proofread multiple times and been reviewed by council, so by the time they come to this board, they should be ready for an up or down vote with no reason to hold off and do various upkeeping, right?
Yes, the wording should be all set.
Okay. And please, I know we have our counsel, Greg Corbo, here as well. And please, Mr. Corbo, if you have anything to say on any of these articles, just stop me and move right along, okay?
All right, thank you, Mr.
And
Chair.
any questions from anybody on Article 1? Pretty straightforward. Article 2 is the use of fiscal year 26 free cash. Again, Mr. Cannon, anything there?
No, these are, just projects that do come up, that we have in the years past always educated free cash to. The easiest one being by the North Carver Water District. We've always subsidized that with free cash, and we plan on doing that again today. There's a number of projects here that you'll see on the 24th, but it's fairly standard language that we've done. Every year we get free cash, and every year we allocate.
Okay. Mr. Corbo, anything on that?
Nothing on that one, Mr. Chair.
Yes, Mr. Carter.
Do we have a listing of the breakdown of free cash as it stands right now?
I do have a listing back in my office. I don't have it with me.
Okay, I don't need it right now, can
Yeah.
I get a copy?
Sure.
Could you email that out to the board?
Yes.
And it's been certified, so we have certified free cash number.
Are you looking for the certified free cash?
I like the certified and right now the current buckets that we're allocating funds to.
Okay.
Anything else on that item? Okay. Article 3 is other transfers. Mr. Cannon.
Yeah, so we did, just went over to, the special purpose funds. This is primarily the solar and battery storage pilot money put into the stabilization funds that we have created through our policy. So make sure we're following the policy.
Okay.
Oh, I'm sorry, other transfers of special purpose funds, what you just call it?
Yes.
Through you, Mr. Chair.
Yes.
We just had a meeting with the finance director, and in order to make this one a little bit more clear, I suggested changing the name to Fiscal 27 Special Purpose Funds.
I think that makes a lot more sense. Thank you. Anything from the board? All right. Article 4, fiscal year 2027 operating budget for the town. That's pretty straightforward. Mr. Cannon?
Correct. That is the entire operating budget for the town. So
Yeah.
that's the largest one you see at every town meeting. Over $50 million. So that's where.
Anything, Mr. Corbo? Anything from the board? Okay. Article 5, enterprise fund, the North Carver Water District.
Correct. So this is the budget for the North Carver Water District. It is still right now, well, it will continue to be an enterprise fund. Doesn't matter if we can, if the town controls it or the North Carver Water District controls it. We're still pending litigation here, but either way, it remains an enterprise fund, even if we do gain control.
Pending litigation?
I'm sorry, pending legislation.
Legislation.
Legislation, not litigation, sorry. Yes.
For all the finance articles that are on the warrant, when we have our meeting on the 24th, will there be a recommendation from the finance committee on those articles?
I will not be at the 24th, but we'll have one, because we are going to forward the financial articles to the finance committee I don't know.
But they haven't voted on that?
No, they have not.
Okay. Anything?
Nothing on this one.
All right,
Mr. Chair.
anything from the board? All right.
So I guess I have a
yes.
quick, so you said the enterprise fund, it'll stay an enterprise fund, even if it's under the guidance of the
Correct,
town?
correct. So even
'Cause
if the
it-
town does take over the jurisdiction of it, if you will,
Yep.
it will still continue to be an enterprise fund, so they'll be collecting fees in, and those fees will be, spent on the district itself.
Okay. Because I know we've always talked about that being a separate entity, and it's all, and, then we found out the last meeting that if there's a shortcoming in their budget, that the town has to make that up. So that's why I was wondering, this whole enterprise fund versus just
Correct.
something.
Operating.
Through you, Mr. Chair.
Yes.
Yeah, so an enterprise fund doesn't have to be for a separate entity. It could still be a town entity. The purpose really of the enterprise fund is that it's a specific undertaking that is funded by user fees. So whether it's, North Carver Water District or whether it's the select board, the operation of this facility is going to be by user fees. And so all those user fees will go into the enterprise fund. The expenses will be allocated, and most likely, you'll still have to have a general fund subsidy of the enterprise fund.
Okay, perfect.
And
Thank
if I
you.
could, Mr. Chair, generally with an enterprise fund, it at least breaks even. They do have a thing called, we have our free cash, they have retained earnings, where if they bring in extra funding, that money can go in their retained earnings. That might go to future capital projects for them. They haven't broken even in years. I don't know, last year they actually, were in the black. So again, once the legislation passes and it's the control of the town, maybe we want to revisit the enterprise fund or adjust and make sure it is operating in the black.
Okay. Thank you.
Any other questions? No? Article 6, the capital improvement budget.
So we do not have a list of capital improvement items right now. That's going to go to the capital committee, and they're going to have to work on that. We have given them a budget right now, a little over $1.3 million to work with, and they are going to work through the project there. There are more than, like typical years, there are more than $1.3 million worth of projects for the needs of the town, but we're going to prioritize those. Mr. Carter's here, but they'll prioritize those.
Yeah, it'll be the standard process. What they've done is they've given us a nice book. Well, I think it's roughly $3 million worth of capital items, so it's not 1.3. So obviously there'll be a lot of cutting. They do a good job of telling us this is the particular department, this is the breakdown, this is what they need it for, and this is the ranking. So it's much better than we've had in the past to start, working on this thing.
Okay. Mr. Corbo, anything?
Nothing.
Mr. Ryan?
Our debt's coming down, which seems like a good thing, but when it does come down, then it reduces capacity to borrow. Are you looking at any possibility of using some borrow for?
There are some
of
big
the
items
capital?
on there that could only be done by borrowing.
Okay.
So, yeah.
All right, good. Because that's something we need to factor into our plan, is that you've got this capacity, and if you get rid of it, then you lose that. You want to maintain it.
Okay. Article 7, the Emergency Medical Services EMS Station Project.
So this is an article to authorize the town to enter into a contract with owner's project manager is what they call that. That is somebody who assists you with the design and then construction of a new EMS building, the ambulance building. I've had some discussions with the chief on this one. We'll further those discussions and bring a recommendation to you. We may be putting this one on hold right now. We're not sure it's developed further enough. We might want to put together a building committee first, get some community input on this a little bit, and then bring it forward.
Okay. Thank you.
I have a question.
Yes.
On this one. So if I remember correctly, this was wasn't there like an article that said $50,000 to go and look at the future capital?
Correct. There was a feasibility study in a capital plan, I want to say 2024?
Yeah, so that feasibility study, can we get copies of it?
Well, yes, we did have a presentation here in front of the board. I can get you copies of it, though.
I remember that.
We had a structural engineer and an
Oh,
architect
that's
come
right.
in.
You did, yeah, I'd like to get a copy of that.
Which direction am I pointing here? To the old police fire station.
Yep.
Structural engineer pretty much told us we couldn't save it, so is the architect. So this would be to further that process.
Yep.
And that's the number one priority for the EMS building. One thing that feasibility study didn't do was looking at the cost to renovate the existing building. So, again, I've talked to the chief a little bit about that. he wants to make sure we have that analysis done. So there was a little bit more work to do on the feasibility study, if you will, but that's the primary site, if you will. If it's going to move, that's going to be the primary site. And again, we had a structural engineer and an architect come in just to do an assessment of that building.
Okay. Mr. Corbo, anything there?
Nothing on that.
All right. Article 8, the health insurance buyout.
Yes, sir.
We spent a lot of time talking about this. so-
We certainly spent a lot of time talking about this, Mr. Chairman. On the health insurance buyout, there is a projected deficit right now on our health insurance line item with the Gateway Health Group. It has been estimated to be in millions of dollars. I don't know how else to say it. So this is an article moving forward that we put money aside to be able to pay that bill. It's an FY26 bill. We had a discussion with town council today to make sure he is aware of what's happening here. We have labor council involved with this, more than town council actually. It's more of a labor issue than it is a town council issue, but this is an article that will be moving forward and we'll be presenting at town meeting.
All right. Mr. Corbo, anything to add?
Yes, through you, Mr. Chair. So we did just have a meeting with the finance director, and just by a way of clarification as to what the mechanics of this article are going to be. So whatever the final number ends up being, some amount of it is going to come out of fiscal year 26 free cash. Some of that amount of it will probably come out of the town general stabilization fund, and it will be transferred to the fiscal year health insurance line item in the budget.
Okay. Anything from the board?
That's not the only option, correct?
That is the only option I discussed with
Well,
the finance director.
I'm thinking
Okay.
that we've got health insurance is a town operating budget item. So my question would be, shouldn't town operating budgets, whether it be, can't be done at once, it should be run through the process of the operating budget. You know, maybe it's, if the number, whatever, it's X number of millions of dollars, that in future budgets, we take a piece out of the operating budget to pay this down, because the operating budget's got the benefit of low insurance costs over the past 10, 15 years.
So we could move forward as we move forward with our negotiations with the Gateway Health Group. There's the possibility of continuing with the Gateway Health Group, inflating the rate there to be able to pay this back off. But right now, there is a deficit going into FY27 that's projected. It's projected deficit. I want you to be, make sure we're clear on this. It's all based on the number of claims, insurance claims that come forward. I did hear that the flu season is maybe past us, so those insurance claims came in very high, and hopefully they're going to come down as we get into spring. But there is a projected number, and it's a deficit that I just want to.
I'm just saying, if we've got an unfavorable deficit, right? There was an unfavorable benefit that was received in prior operating budgets that were having lower than anticipated insurance rates. So instead of being an 8% increase, it should have been a 12% increase.
Correct.
So instead they were fed through the operating budgets. So what I would argue, and something we should also look at, maybe from the finance director, is not in 1 year, maybe in a consecutive 5 or 10 years, we start bringing it back to the operating budget.
So the issue here, through you, Mr. Chair, is that you budgeted a certain amount in fiscal 26, and it's not enough to cover what you owe in fiscal 26. So there needs to be a supplement of the fiscal 26 budget in order to pay that bill, unless you can come to some negotiation with Gateway Health to spread it out over a number of years. But as things stand right now, this is a fiscal year 26 bill, and you don't have enough money appropriated to pay.
I agree. There'll be some kind of cash payment, large, that's going to affect these things. But I'm saying that should be recovered over that. We should have a plan that recovers that over the next 5 or 10 years of the operating budget.
Well, if I could, Mr. Chairman, so Mr. Carter, the board did pass a financial policy that we're following right now. There is I want to call it a healthcare stabilization fund that we're putting funds into, particularly just for that, in case this does happen in the future. And right now it's a national crisis. You turn on the news, you hear about it. You're certainly in the newspaper. Tactics to multiple towns around us. We're not unique to Carver right now.
I guess the question I would have on this is that the deficit they're predicting is as of June 30th, right?
Correct.
So we won't know the actual deficit number when we go to town meeting.
Correct. I will be looking at an estimate of the deficit.
Okay.
Council did ask me today, do we have a bill? And the answer is no, we do not have a bill right now.
Okay.
So through you, Mr. Chair, you know, if the situation's gonna come up that you're gonna have to pay the bill, you'd probably want to estimate on the high side, because otherwise, if it becomes a bill of a prior fiscal year, now you're talking about the heightened vote that has to occur at town meeting.
9/10, correct?
9/10 if it's a special, yes.
Okay, that was my concern. We won't have that number. I do think we need to be particularly careful when we're talking about hitting the stabilization fund to pay bills, but this is certainly a unique situation.
It is.
So, anything else on this? And of course, we'll have more conversations when we get to actually review the town meeting articles. Article 9 is revolving funds.
So the revolving funds, multiple departments have revolving funds. These are usually, you know, I always think like the basketball, you know, the recreation department has a basketball league. The kids, the parents pay into that basketball league. That money is set aside, pretty much kind of like an enterprise fund, to be spent on, you know, basketball, paying the referees, the uniforms, the balls. So these are spending limits for each of those revolving funds that we have. We have about 7 of them, so we'll see that again as we get further into the article.
Anything to add,
That's just a
Mr.
general
Carver?
overview.
This is a standard operating article. It's not actually appropriating any money. It's just simply saying that for these departments, if you take in money, this is how much of that money that you can spend without town meeting approval.
Questions from the board? All right. Article 10, the Community Preservation Committee.
Sure, so this is the Community Preservation Act that they collect funding from our taxes. These are spent on projects throughout the town, and we'll bring those individual projects to you on the 24th.
Okay.
I don't know if there's
Anything to add?
the standard article.
Yep. Anything to add, Mr. Corvo?
No.
Anything from the board? Yes, Mr. Ryan.
Yeah, I don't know how to ask the question, but is, at some point, if they're not using it for projects, is there any kind of a cap that gets imposed on how much you can have?
I think I can speak to that. So
Yeah.
the Community Preservation Act divides the funds. It used to be just 3 parts: open space, historic, and affordable housing. Now they have open space and recreation, which used to come under open space, then historic and housing, and then 5% for administrative costs. What they don't spend, each year, 10% of the funds they get have to go to those 3 or /4 parts. What they don't spend goes into their own, what's it called?
Unrestricted?
What?
Is the unrestricted fund?
Oh, thank you, that's where, John, unrestricted fund. And it can't be used like for the town or any other thing. I
So
mean,
my-
they're not, the only limit they have is how much money they have. So we are at the 3% level, which means we go through 3 rounds of funding with the state, which is good. We get a lot more funding than those towns that are at 1%.
Yeah, so I think part of my question is if they don't spend the money,
It
and
goes
you
into
keep,
their unrestricted fund.
but it sits there forever.
That's correct.
And if they never ever spend it, it just goes there.
Well, they certainly try. I
Okay.
mean, you know, they've tried some housing projects and
Okay.
things like that that haven't,
But there's no state regulation if they don't spend the money in the unrestricted and it
No.
grows to be
no, the
10
town
billion.
doesn't get the money.
And it grows
So-
to $10 billion,
No.
then it
But-
just sits there.
But again, I mean, this is the
Okay.
town having the money. It's having money to
Right.
spend that we would never have had otherwise, to do
Right.
things like purchase the coal property.
Okay.
Yeah.
If I could, Mr. Chair, just so you're aware, so certainly the finance director and myself had discussions about this and plan on engaging the Community Preservation Committee about the projects that move forward and the spending that they do allocate. There does seem to be a substantial reserve, and if we do have a substantial reserve, we should be talking about projects. You know, we're taking money in, we should be looking at spending that money in appropriate projects, but we want to have that discussion. Want to broaden it. My understanding is a lot of those projects only went through the town planner, you know, maybe broaden it to other departments, O&M or conservation, you know, and just see if we can broaden out that field to bring in more projects.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that was one of the problems. I was on the CPC for a few years, and we had the money, but people just weren't presenting projects, so we tried to reach out to everybody. But to your question, there isn't a cap. It just continues to get at them, so.
Maybe we need to find a way to reach out in a greater way to solicit some projects. Okay, I'm sorry, is there anything else on that article? Everyone good? Okay. Article 11, the disposition of property off South Main Street.
This is the Union Society Church property where there are actually Carver graves on church property, and they are looking, their building is also, I want to say it's like 1 foot off the property line. They're looking for a little bit of property swap there, 10 feet off. I will say this one thing with the board, they did come in for a grant before. There were issues with their title, which town council can speak to better than I can. That has not been resolved. So I will call them and, they've corresponded with me about it, but I will tell them the urgency of it.
And just remember, at that meeting, we brought that up, that we were very concerned that this wasn't going to be handled in a timely manner.
Yeah, if I may, do they understand all they have to do is get a lawyer, talk to a lawyer on the phone, go in, sign it, and they file it electronically? It can happen like the next
I
day?
have explained this to them, but they seem to have some issue finding a lawyer. I'm not sure if, I don't know what particular it is.
Okay.
Through you, Mr. Chair, I haven't had any discussions with them since we had the issue with the grant earlier in this year. But, I mean, we can go forward with this sort of proposal at town meeting, but ultimately, if they're not going to be able to convey good title to the town, then, you're not going to be able to close on that transaction.
I think we should consider taking this off if it's not cleared up by the time we have to vote on it.
Yeah, that's clearly.
The board was quite clear about dropping articles if they're not ready to go, and I think this is in that category.
Yeah. Well, hopefully you can have a conversation with them and they get this.
Correct,
They can
get
get
this
this cleared
resolved.
up. Okay, let's see, Article 12, the transfer tax title parcel to Conservation Commission and authorize conveyance of conservation restriction.
So this is a large parcel of land, Mr. Chairman, that the Conservation Commission is looking for control of. I can tell you that it has not been developed since the departure of our conservation agent. I am concerned that this is not ready for town meeting.
What is the address of the property?
It's map 88, lot 3. It's off Meadow Street. I believe it abuts the power lines. I drive by it like every single day.
Mr.
That's the one I was telling
Shouldn't the
you about.
address or
No.
something be referenced in the article?
I'm sorry, I know exactly what article it is, and it is map 88, lot 3. It's a parcel that Fish and Wildlife wants to buy from us for 20 grand. And it went to town meeting at one point. I'm pretty sure it's 33 acres?
yes.
Yeah, that's the parcel.
My only question is that it doesn't seem to be very clear to someone reading that.
Okay, well, we
That
can
article,
clarify
what it
what
is.
that means. I'm just explaining to the board what the property is owned by Fish and Wildlife. They want to give the town $20,000 for it. It stalled at town meeting several years ago because someone wanted an appraisal. The appraisal comes in like this outrageous number, which it shouldn't, because the parcel was originally part of the subdivision, or Form A lots down on Meadow Street. And it's all swampland. So it's like free money. That's what this is, $20,000. They are giving us $20,000. You can't build on that particular lot. There's about maybe 12 square feet of space that's dry.
So, Mr. Corbo, do you think we need more clarification on what that is, or is that okay to go forward with that?
Well, based on that explanation, we may need more detail as to what's happening here.
Okay.
Because my information is that this is a parcel that the town owns through tax title, and that this article is really just transferring it to the Conservation Commission to be held as conservation land, and then authorizing the select board to give a restriction to be held by Department of Fish and Game. It doesn't, maybe they're paying, but.
And do you think you would need more time to review that article?
I guess we'd have to figure out what the facts are, and if we could do that by the 24th, then we would do that. But in terms of your one question about the identity, this has been done before where the town has taken these tax title lands. They're usually low value lands, and then they transfer them to the Conservation Commission so that they can be held, just as in perpetuity as open space, because they can't be built on anyways. And oftentimes you don't have much more than this map and lot because it's just a vacant parcel of land.
Wouldn't you at least include the map and lot on the?
Well, in the draft In the draft article, the map and lot is there.
Okay.
Does it say map 88?
It does, 88 lot 3.
And it's 33 plus or minus acres?
I don't see an acreage in
Yeah,
here.
it doesn't say the acreage.
Okay. My only concern there is making sure that when some member of the general public reads this, that they know
Yeah.
what we're talking
So,
about. that's
so
all.
my understanding, it sounds like they've put this in a different way. Because originally, if it's the same parcel, it could be a different parcel. But if it's the same parcel I'm talking about, Fish and Game was going to pay us for that parcel.
So with the town planner not being here, I guess we need to figure out exactly what's happening before we
Well, I can
go.
talk to Fish and Game about that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, through you, Mr. Chair, if that's okay.
And I would say, Mr. Chair, one thing too, I do think that in the actual warrant, to have a map at the back of the appendix is always very helpful, because again, there's a map and lot here, 0 Meadow Street,
I
100 properties on Meadow Street
Does
with
it
0.
say 33 acres?
No, it does not. It doesn't list an acreage, but I believe it is 33 acres.
I think we just need to be as transparent as
Yeah.
possible. That-
And I like always look at maps.
Any other questions on this particular article? Okay. Next is Article 13, a memorandum of understanding, MOU, with other transfer departments of the Commonwealth.
So,
No idea.
how clear is that? So this is an article brought forward by the school department. There is new federal legislation right now provide funding for transportation for homeless children to be able to attend the Carver school. This is that memorandum of understanding would allow us to enter into that agreement with the federal government. So that's
Okay.
the overall purpose of this item. And again, we'll have more detail.
Yeah, I was going to say,
Well,
again,
probably have somebody from the school department to come in here. They have much more knowledge about this than I do, but that's my general overview of it.
okay. Mr.
And
Corvo?
yes, Mr. Chair, that's my understanding as well. I've seen the what do you call it, the skeleton or the model MOU, and it does require that there be town meeting approval.
Okay.
And then really, it's just a matter of, grant funds will go to the school to be used for that particular purpose.
Okay. Are there questions from the board on this? I guess my only comment, Mr. Cannon, would be if this is being proposed by the school department, we may need someone from the school department here to be able to explain it to the board.
Yes, I think that's appropriate.
Okay. Let's see, Article 14, town clerk fee increases.
Oops, you missed one.
Did I skip one?
Yeah, oh.
And revolving account for school
I
transportation.
think that's related to 13, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. This is simply the revolving account set up for this, this funding coming in. Oh, Mr. Chairman, I'm sorry, we do have a paper copy.
Oh, I'm going by what's on
Yeah,
here.
you're looking at the-
You might have a paper copy.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I was
Sorry.
going by what's on
Sorry, Mr. Chairman.
our thing here. Okay, revolving account for school transportation.
Correct, so that is the revolving account being set up for this funding coming in to be spent on transportation for homeless individuals in town.
Okay.
And Mr. Chair, through you, that's something that does need to be clarified through the school department. Wasn't clear to me in reading the statute that town meeting has to actually create this, that it's just there by statute, but obviously I will defer to the school department to decide if this article needs to be on or not.
Okay, I guess Mr. Cannon or Mr. Corvo, through you, so for Articles 13 and 14 that are coming from the school department, do they have their own legal team review these,
I will
or
check
is it
that.
ours?
I would assume.
I assume it goes to the legal too, but I will. double check
I just want to make sure before they come before the board that they've been
Right.
reviewed by whatever legal
Right.
team is supposed to review them, that's all, so it's all ready to go. Okay, that's my only point there. Any questions on the board on that? Okay, Article 15, town clerk fee increases.
So these are the vital records at the town clerk's office, primarily birth certificates, death certificates, and marriage licenses. She did come in front of the board and
we approved it.
propose the fee increases. I believe it's mostly $10 to $15. Marriage license goes from 15 to 25. And again, she did a survey of the surrounding towns. I want to say she took an average of the surrounding towns, and we're right in the middle between what we charge. And, well, currently we're on the low end, so that's why she's proposing.
Okay. Mr. Corbo, anything?
Only, I'm not sure what's on your list, but this was split up into two because the dog license fees are in a bylaw.
We have it.
Oh, right, yeah, that's Article 16, the dog license fee increase. And I guess we can just talk about those together. Anything from the board on either the town clerk fee increases or the dog license fee increases?
No.
Okay. And the final one is Article 17, prohibit building on cranberry bog parcels.
So this one is one that I submitted. I had scheduled to go in front of the Conservation Commission on February 4th. They postponed that and put it on to February 13th. And then Mr. Cannon told me that Mr. Corbo thinks this should go to a planning board. I can do both. I mean, it is kind of a zone. The situation is that it's in our zoning bylaws currently. It's not really being used, and it's kind of buried and not being used very well. I thought it would be a good idea to have this very clear, so that instead of having a Form A lots chopped up with each of them with a little piece of cranberry bog that belongs to someone else on them, we don't know whose berries they are, who's supposed to harvest. Why are you in my backyard using my hose? Why are you trampling on my bogs? It just simplifies things. Don't make any kind of house lot with a piece of cranberry bog on it. What's in the bylaw now says only 30% of a lot can be wet. And then they go on to say what kind of wet, regular wetlands, cranberry bogs, whatnot. But I just thought this would be a better clarification, because I know there are lots of lots that have appeared in town that are like this, and it's just nothing but trouble.
Would this prevent the things that happened like on 58 with the 3 lots? That
Yes.
Yeah, I 100% support this.
Yeah. So my feeling was, because I'm talking about cranberry bogs, it should go to conservation, but Mr. Corbo, if you think I should go to both conservation and the planning board, I'm happy to do that.
And so the way that I'm reading this, I mean, it looks to me like it would be the subject of a zoning bylaw, because you're talking about, you know, limitations on how lots can be subdivided. That's a subject of zoning. So, you know, we would need sort of have this in the form of a zoning bylaw amendment, which then has to go through the process of planning board public hearing. And I don't know, you know, how that fits into your schedule at this point.
Ah, I see, yeah.
Okay, well,
But
Mr.
should-
Cannon, if you could keep us in the loop on that.
But should the board take a vote to refer this to the planning board, if they so choose?
Yeah, I would leave that up to them. I mean, in my opinion, this isn't, if it were to be on the warrant in this form, it really would only be sort of like a non-binding advisory vote, because town meeting can't just say, you know, you can't build somewhere. It's
No,
gotta
it
be
would
done.
have to be a zoning bylaw if it's going to be binding, correct?
Correct.
Yeah, okay, yeah.
So do we need a vote to, do we need a formal vote to refer this to the planning board? Is that what you would advise?
I would advise that, yes.
Okay. Would you say that that's within the scope of what we have on our agenda tonight? There's no type of vote listed on the agenda.
No, but the agenda is to review the list of warrant articles.
Okay.
This is one of, is that list somewhere, like for the public?
Yes.
It's part of the agenda?
Yeah.
Yeah, so then this is part and parcel of
And
that
you
article.
got that bold item
Yeah,
that
I know.
says anything can be voted on.
I know. Is there a motion to refer this to the planning board?
I'll make the motion.
Second. We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion, Ms. Ewens?
No, I'm fine with that. I think it should also be referred to the Conservation Commission, but either way, or both.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? It is unanimous, thank you. Okay, anything else, Mr. Cannon, Mr. Corbo, on the town meeting articles?
No.
Okay. Anything else from the board on those? All right. Moving right along to the town administrator update. Only 4 minutes late.
Well,
Mr. Cannon.
Okay. Just so on the health insurance, again, I know we've had some discussion about this, I'm probably gonna repeat myself here. The Gateway Health Group does still project a deficit right now. We're working with our insurance broker to define that deficit as much as possible, get it down. It is all the way out, as the chairman had said, out to June 30th, so we are gonna be looking at a projection. We go to town meeting, but, you know, again, we've talked about this. With that said, our insurance council is also looking for the next place that the town of Carver would be going to, and reaching out to, you know, the Mayflower Health Group, Southeastern Mass, also trying to get quotes from Blue Cross Blue Shield, Harvard Pilgrim Health. So just to see, you know, what our next step is also there. With that said, you know, I update our insurance advisory committee that's mostly made up from the unions in town, including the school department, just to make them aware, again, this is a big ticket item for the town, very important, we're talking about health insurance for all our employees here, always want to invite them to, and then just update the board as we move along. And, I appreciate the patience of the board. I know it's a moving target as we move forward, but it is
So
what it is.
I guess it might be going back to our previous agenda item, but when you talked about trying to resolve the deficit in that article, you talked about taking money from the stabilization fund.
Yes.
Do you have a rough estimate on how much money you're looking to take from the stabilization fund?
I don't right now, Mr. Chairman. I did throw out an estimate before, and again, I want to. I want to be very cautious.
Will you have that on the 24th?
Yes, I'll have a better number on the 24th.
Okay. All right, and then, well, I'm sorry, continue.
That's really all for the health insurance.
Yep.
Mr. Chairman. On the MBTA zoning article, the town of Carver has rehired the Barrett Consulting Group through a grant, so it's at no cost to the town. The planning board is actively searching for appropriate sites for the MBTA zoning, so that is moving forward. I could tell you, and I know there's been some concern about this Barrett Consulting Group. I feel as though with better communications to that group that they can do an adequate job. I've talked to the chair of the planning board, our interim town planner, and Judy Barrett, the owner of the Barrett Group here. And again, I feel like it was more of a communications breakdown before we went into the special town meeting in the fall, and it really wasn't on the Barrett Group themselves.
And I know this is something that Mr. Ryan had asked for on the agenda, and I guess something happened with the chair of the planning board. She was unable to come in.
Correct. She was. I did ask her to attend.
But I think to Mr. Ryan's point, I think the board does need an update on exactly where that process is. And,
Okay.
and if we're unable to coordinate a meeting, then maybe you could send a more detailed email to the board.
Sure. Oh, I certainly can.
As to where they are. I have heard, I don't want it too far, but I have heard that they're discussing a 40R
Correct.
proposal. I think we need some update on that. I don't think we've ever had an update on that proposal.
Yeah, I can give you the 30,000 foot level. I've had discussions with the owner there. If you remember, he actually came to the 2024 town meeting when we were discussing the MBTA zoning. He wants to do a 40R project behind the Maria gas station. Really, the extent of my conversation is me telling him he really needs to go to the planning board first to develop this and work it out. I know he's in those discussions right now, at least with the chair and again the Barrett Group, because they're looking at the 40R to see if a 40R, if approved, would also comply with the MBTA zoning. That's really kind of the goal that I see for the town. Now, there are benefits to a 40R, without a doubt. The town gets additional revenue from the state if it does approve the 40R. But I think if, kill two birds with one stone, if there's a benefit to the town, the 40R, and it offsets the MBTA zoning, that's where I really kind of see it right now.
Okay. Mr. Corbo, can I ask you, if you don't feel it's too far off the agenda, as far as a 40R proposal of the MBTA Communities Act, that doesn't automatically comply, right? You would need to go to the state and they would have to grant you a waiver or an exemption or whatever they call it to make that comply?
That's correct. I don't know all the full details of it, but I don't believe that the requirements to qualify as a 40R match up exactly with the requirements for the MBTA communities, but it is possible to do it, and Middleborough did that as part of their compliance plan. So, if that's something that the state is willing to work with you on, that would be a possibility.
Thank you.
I did come from the town of Rochester. They have a 40R that was zoned at the corner of 58 and 28 behind the, Seasons gas station there. And the MBTA did sign off on that 40R also. Okay. So again, I don't know about the details about the town planner, but there are ways to do it.
Okay. Mr. Ryan?
It would require a vote at town meeting.
Yes.
And depending on the timing, I guess if we thought they potentially would have something ready for April, would we consider maybe a special town meeting within the annual? Could you do that? And because I know we've closed the regular warrant
Correct.
articles,
We have closed the regular one.
But could we do a special within the annual and given the urgency versus having to have another town meeting, if hypothetically they had something of it ready for vote?
The only thing I'm not aware of any plan that's been put together to present to the board, to the planning board. So I don't see how they could be ready for the annual.
Okay.
I think it would have to be a special. We did talk about that with them before they really kind of got going. Certainly, we felt like it was rushed in the fall, and tried to tell them not to rush it. Let's do it the right way, and not try to cram it in. I don't want to set deadline.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Carter.
Just following up on, I told the town administrator that this is such a critical process. We're not going to get a third swipe at it, I don't think. And I think that the Barrett group comes with baggage, that they were part of the last issue that we had at town meeting. So I think that it's our best interest to go with a clean slate and find another consultant. I'm not blaming them. I'm just saying that the folks that go to town meeting will remember what happened last year, and they're not going to listen to any argument to say that it wasn't their fault. They were involved in it. It was brutal. So I think it'd be the best interest for us to get a new consultant.
I tend to agree with you, John. Yeah.
Okay.
Mr. Chair, can I just add
Sure.
something to this discussion, and that is, late last week, the Attorney General's office filed a lawsuit against 9 non-compliant communities out of what was at that time 12 in total, including Carver. Carver was not on the list, fortunately, so you do still have an opportunity to work with the state on getting something in place. Obviously, we can't guarantee that they're not going to follow this up with a lawsuit against Carver as well, but the lawsuit seeks declaratory judgment against those 9 towns that they are not in compliance with the MBTA Communities Act, and injunctive relief from the court in the form of an order to bring them into compliance. The pleadings do not specify sort of what they're looking for in terms of what the court would do to bring you into compliance. So, that's something that we'd be keeping an eye on. And I also know that in the next few weeks, there'll be arguments before the Supreme Judicial Court in the Marshfield case, primarily on the unfunded mandate issue.
Thank you. Okay. Mr. Cannon?
So moving on, I did attend an Old Colony School Committee, the building committee meeting with Mr. Hoffman and Mr. Ryan. They did take a vote to recommend to put that school project back out to bid. Back out to vote, the district vote they had before. It is my understanding the school committee there did recommend also having this vote. It's my understanding it's going to happen either in June or in late September. They're going to skip over the summer season. They really haven't decided when that is, but again, I just wanted to let the board know that.
So no change to the original project?
Correct. No change to the original project. Still the $288 million project, of which a portion of that, and I want to say it's 140 million, would come from the state funding. So 148 million local. And then the last thing I have is our COA director has been certified by the Massachusetts Association of Council on Aging and Senior Directors. So I think that's a great thing for all department heads to go out and get that certification. Sometimes takes years, depending on how much schooling you have to do and how many classes you have to attend. So that's a great thing for her. With that said, also, I will say that they've been tracking the number of people that come in, and I do think they do a better job of tracking, but they did have an 82% increase over 2024 from 2025. So, it's a nice thing to know. It's nice to know how many people you're actually, serving as
Sure is.
So that's all I have, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, thank you. All right, let's see, moving right along. Topics not reasonably anticipated by the chair 48 hours in advance of the meeting. There are none. We have the approval of the minutes of January 20th, 2026.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Second.
Motion and a second. Discussion? Hearing none. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? It is unanimous. We have the approval of the Best Buddies Challenge Bicycle Ride, Hyannisport, for Saturday, May 30th, 2026.
Make a motion to approve.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Discussion? Hearing none. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? It is unanimous. Thank you. Select Board announcements. Ms. Ewens?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. As usual, I want people to remember Jane Gibbs Thanks Food Pantry. And in addition, we're having a town hall food drive on behalf of Jane Gibbs Thanks Food Pantry donations can be made up here in the Select Board office, is that correct? And now, how long does this last, Ms. Weston?
Through the month of February.
All through the month of February, just so everyone knows.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
The Best Buddies, just for those people, the new chair of the Best Buddies is Mr. Drake May, who has a big game this weekend, so I'm sure I speak for most Carver residents. Go Patriots. Yeah, I forget the other thing. That's it.
Okay. Mr. Carter.
Just to reiterate what Mr. Hoffman said, obviously we hope the Patriots win the Super Bowl. Best of luck to them. The other thing was just with these extremely cold temperatures, please reach out to your neighbors and especially senior citizens to make sure that everyone has heat.
Okay, and just a reminder that on the fourth Thursday of the month, the Airport Advisory Committee meets and would like to take input from residents. So there's a public comment period where you can discuss. The latest focus has been more on the mitigation of noise from the planes over some of the neighborhoods. So if anybody wants to participate in that. And then Mr. Chair, I have some disappointing news. Ms. G, our Massachusetts official groundhog in Lincoln, Massachusetts, agrees with Punxsutawney Phil that there's going to be 6 more weeks of winter. And Ms. G is usually 60% right.
Well, I'll tell you, you learn something new every day. I had no idea we had an official Massachusetts groundhog. And I have to tell you, it might be time to go with a new animal. If they keep predicting longer winter, I don't know. I have nothing to add to what's been said. Go Patriots. Our next meeting will be on February 24th, which is a change from our normal meeting schedule, which would be February 17th. Is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
Motion and a second. Discussion. All in favor?
Aye.